Check, 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 check.
Hello, hello. Hey everyone. The burnt truck is ready outside and there's food on the countertops over there. Thanks everyone for coming.
So I guess I'm starting this off. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm just gonna not pay attention to all these people, and I'm just gonna read the stuff that I had written. Here we go. Little brother. It means something to me and everyone who's ever been delegated that role in the pecking order. It means all I've ever known is being your little brother. It means I've never navigated this earth without you. I don't know a world without you in it because you've always been there. My biggest terrorizer and protector, all wrapped into one. There are parts of me that know, yes, I will always be your little brother. And there's this other part of me that feels like a shell of its spent the night. My simple response was, he was an acquired taste. As she looked at us with uneasy and bewildered eyes, I provided more detail, and I believe it kind of went something like this. He's kind of like coffee, sometimes really bitter, sometimes really sweet. Kind of staying true to your Forrest Gump. Where's my mom? Okay, yeah. Fine, mom. You remember his leg braces he used growing up to learn to walk properly and just found out about it 18 months ago? He was so pissed, and I would make fun of him. Uh, yeah, sure. Uh, he's pissed. By the way, finding out this information as a 40-something-year-old, going through old childhood health records. But as was the saying in Forrest Gump, wait, what? But as I was saying, like your Forrest Gump roots, you never know what you're gonna get in regards to Michael. You could get the most caring, proper, kind person, and then in the complete asshole in the blink of an eyes. It was your unapologetic nature that you were who you were. As one of the few that could calm you down and talk you off the edge, I wish I did that more for you, instead of cracking up and watching the shit show go down. You were such a know-it-all and always ready to die on your sword at a moment's notice about whatever topic was of debate. But you really did know a lot about many different things. An autodidactic by design, you were so well read and a true music snob. You had zero problems telling someone to their face how their favorite author or artist was absolute trash, and you're stubborn to your core, would read full series of books in a day or weekend and listen to albums just to come back to the person with exact pages, sections, and notations, versus to tell them why their favorite author or artist sucks so much. I will truly miss those moments, and it pains me I get to see no more rages blamed on your Sullivan genes anymore. Don't worry, I'll try to show Wyatt the ways of our people. You also loved Taylor Swift and often called yourself a Swiftie, so maybe you yourself had shit music taste. I often use you as reference in therapy sessions when clients talk about their kids, siblings, or partners that don't live up to their full potential. I truly believe you were one of the smartest people that I've ever known, and I believe you could have been anything you wanted to be, but your acquired taste wouldn't let you go through the bureaucracies of a school system to get to where you could have been. And let's be honest, even if you got to one of those jobs, you probably wouldn't have been able to keep it because you wouldn't be able to deal with upper management, and you probably would threaten to drop kick them through their desk while telling them to fuck off. I know I talked about his rough sides a lot, but he really did have a sweet, caring side as well. He would give the shirt off his back for a person he loved and cared for, or even a random stranger, especially elderly people that remind you of our grandparents. He was one of the first persons I remember seeing at my bedside when I came back to consciousness post motorcycle accident. He was fucking pissed at me because he himself went through that bargaining phase of what if you did this, what if you did that, because he was trying to get me to ditch school and go out for breakfast that morning. And I was like, no, I got a week left of college, got to finish this. He was always there all throughout childhood as one of the main constant and other times the only figure in my life. And silly me thought you would always be there. Um, through being forced to take on the nights out with your friend, through being forced to take me out on nights out with your friends in high school, like that, like this little elementary school age puppy that you couldn't get rid of. I looked up to you as another father figure in my life with the 7 year age gap that we had. I am the way that I am because of you, for better or for worse, at times. And I'll share those core memories with Wyatt so he will know what kind of a father you were to me and shaping up to be for him. I'm sorry if I took those gentle, sweet sides for granted. I wish I could have knocked some sense into you to get your health checked up on. That is something I will spend a lifetime of sadness regretting, because 44 was too young for you to be taken from us. I digress into one of the topics that hurts me the most. I wish we could have talked more about what we would want our boys to know or even know about us, the good and the bad, if one of us prematurely left this earth. What kind of values or lessons would we want them to learn from our mistakes growing up? Somebody. Uh, if the other person left abruptly, what kind of men should they be in this changing world? Hi. Want to come up and sit in? Yeah. What kind of men should they be in this changing world? Did you have a bucket list of places you'd want Wyatt to see or experience? I feel like I don't know any of this, and I felt that we had an infinite amount of time to ponder on these questions, and we could always go over these later down the road. But it turns out that our time together was finite. I've been wrestling with these thoughts and this grief for the past month, and trying to find a process, a meaning, and/or purpose. It fucking sucks. We're people that have don't really or it fucking sucks. Where people have culture and religion to lean on to guide them through this path of grief. I feel like I'm navigating a dark, cold, and empty forest with nothing but the moonlight. And I, like many of you here, are stuck in the bargaining phase of grief, asking, what if? What if we ask those questions? And what if we went to that last dinner, that last lunch? Or what if we got that random coffee session? I'll look up and hope wherever you might be in this universe that you can nudge me in the right direction where I ask questions about how you would like me to guide Wyatt on a topic or a problem. I promise to try to be the best version of myself, physically and mentally, for our boys. That's a promise that I will make to you and keep to you. Don't come up here. Sit down. Uh, but I also want to call upon each and every one of you that are here to aid us in this journey with Wyatt not being able to forget who his dad was. So I'll wrap this long in lack of flow, abruptly switching topic speech. Did everyone get a pamphlet earlier? Uh, remember, Wyatt is okay. And so I'll read this pamphlet thing that I did. Yeah, it's you, Wyatt, bro. So this is actually a poem I use in grief therapy for some of my clients. Of course, bud. Uh, Andrew, that's gonna be louder than me on this fucking mic. It's ridiculous. So this is the poem called "The Dash." I read of a man who stood to speak at the funeral of a friend. He referred to the dates on the tombstone from the beginning to the end. He noted that first came the date of birth and spoke of the following date with tears. But he said what mattered most of all was the dash between those years. For those dash represents the time they for that dash represents all the time they spent alive on earth. Now only those who love them know what that little line is worth. For it matters not how much we own, the cars, the house, the cash. What matters is how we live and love and how we spend our dash. So think about this long and hard. Are there things you'd like to change? For you never know how much time is left that can be rearranged. To be less quick to anger and show appreciation more, and love the people in our lives like we've never loved before. If we treat each other with respect and more often wear a smile, remember that this special dash might only last a little while. So when your eulogy is being read, with your life's actions to rehash, would you be proud of the things that you say? Uh, would you be proud of the things they say about how you lived your dash? And so that kind of like the idea of this is leaving a legacy for Wyatt. So Michael is many different things to many different people. depending on the season of life. Sonic.
Fun.
Uh, he might have been your childhood friend, your roll dog, a fellow hardcore kid, a book snob, a gun geek, a hip hop head, or whatever else he was passionately into at the time. We want Wyatt to truly know and remember his father for a lifetime. What better way to help him know Michael than through the words, memories, and perspectives of the people who shared his dash with him? Our plan is to gather these stories into a book that the family can keep and read to Wyatt so Michael's story, his humor, his heart, and the many lives he touched continue to live on. So, what to do? It's on the back. Step one, type a letter that shares a memory of you and Michael. Step two, what do you think is a value that Michael held deeply to his soul that he would want to pass on to Wyatt? 3, include a photo of you with him. 4, include a song or a book recommendation. And then I made this email address for Wyatt, lettersforwyatt Sullivan@gmail.com. Putting a deadline of this, so 2 months before.
Did you make theaters for me?
I have not yet, but I will.
You made
Say Sonic really loud.
Sonic the Hedgehog.
Hell yeah. And so put like a 2-month notice if you guys want it in the book. I think I put a little last thing. Remember, Wyatt is also shy of 4 years old. Write something that would be good for this time of his life. If you want to, or find the need to put something in there that's dicier side, maybe I can make an 18 and older edition and print that book too. Just mark it. I will obviously be reading them all. And I just want to say thank you all for coming, and we appreciate and feel your love and support. And if anyone else wants to talk, you can talk. You want to talk?
Yes,
What do you want to say?
Sonic the Hedgehog.
You want to say anything else? You're going to talk? Yeah. All right. Perfect.
Hi, my friends. There are a lot of you. Not surprised. I've been thinking about what I'd say at something like this since. And I made like 3 different versions for whether or not there'd be little kids and a bunch of people I didn't know and people for, post 30 and when we were in our teens. And now that we're all here, I realize that none of those are really going to work because there's a lot of people I don't know here. So I think the core of it is that Fats, and he is Fats to me anyway. He was introduced to me when I was like 15 as Fats. I never called him Mike in 30 years. And I thought, like, am I going to call him Mike? I'm like, why would I do that? He was Fats. P-H-A-T-Z, by the way. He had a kind of courage that didn't have to be practiced, and it wasn't necessarily taught. It just came from him somewhere. On Main Street, he was one of the crew. We all kind of like helped to balance things out. If we had problems with the 909ers or the skinheads or just jerks, if your name was good on Main Street, then anyone who knew who you were was going to back you up. Fats would do it with an unusual kind of enthusiasm. He would be there with bells on, and he had this little giggle he would do. If something was about to get rough, if something was about to get dangerous or maybe even hurt, he would go, here we go. And I think about that a lot. Sometimes I get into a situation, I'm on the freeway, and I feel a blowout or something. I hear Fats, here we go. And that's what I'm going to take forever. And I heard my daughter do it yesterday, and that made me happy. The other thing I'm going to talk about is how Corey mentioned he was an autodidact. That does not quite put as fine a point on it as it deserves. I'm a writer myself. He was my biggest fan, and I introduced him to Richard Brautigan, who was the odd man out of the Beat Poet Society. He loved Richard Brautigan, and We talked about that guy as well as other authors frequently, but about 5 years after I left Huntington, he called me up and he said, "Hey, I've been talking to Browdigan's widow, like the woman that Richard Browdigan married." And he's like, "Yeah, the mother of his kids. Like, you just talk with her now?" And he's like, "Well, yeah, she says I am the owner of the world's largest collection of first editions." And did you not know? It's true. So yeah, he's that kind of autodidact. He would learn a thing, he would specialize in a thing, and he would be the best at that thing. And he was probably really, really intelligent at a lot of things that no one's ever going to know, because it wasn't about us. It wasn't about you. It was about him and his relationship to that knowledge. And I love that. I love that guy. I'll let it go. Cheers, y'all.
Please, anything to distract me. Um, if most of you do not know me, my name is Chris Benet. Any of you would have, just none of you know me other than mostly family. But Mike, Fats, whatever you want to call him, he was a good friend of mine. Starting, oof, where's the distraction, man? Come on. Yeah. No, I could stand up here. I mean, I'm in many of these photos here. We started our friendship in high school. He called me Jersey. A lot of people call me Jersey. Literally, Corey, when he reached out to me, he was like, "Is your name Chris or Jersey?" Like, I mean, he really, like, he helped penetrate that name into like everyone who knew me. But we became good friends in high school. And as soon as I got my license, we were just out. We were on the road. We went everywhere. Cindy knows, like, we would just be like, "Oh, let's go to Oceanside and get burritos." Or on the weekend, we would just get in the car and we would go down to Mexico and we'd be there hanging out, drinking underage, Senior Frog on Revolution Street, and just having great times. Stories I definitely cannot share here and now. But we remained friends for a really, really long time. And we loved that piece of shit car because it took us all over the place. And after high school, things changed for me. And I at one point, whew, she knows, she did. Thank you. Yeah, at one point, I was like living out of the car. And Cindy, she sent them out on the road. She's like, "Go find them, bring them home." And yeah, I lived with them. I lived with them for a while, twice, as a matter of fact. And you meet somebody as early as high school and you really just don't know the impact that they're going to have on your life. Sometimes you just think they're high school friends. And then later we found out that, like, okay, we were into pool together. More recently, it was, guns, making and building watches. Like, it's just like, he's just such an interesting guy. God, I'm still saying he is. That's just crazy. But such an amazing man. Sean was definitely right when he was saying that, like, he likes to learn things and he gets into it and he gets into it deep. And if you want to do a deep dive discussion, you could just pick up the phone, call him. And the thing that I loved about him is that it didn't matter if I didn't talk to him for 6 months or it could be 6 years. That's exaggerating. But like, we would pick up the phone and we would just go, and the conversation would never stop. And I literally, I mean, I live in New Jersey still, and I talk to him. I can't tell you how many times, if we just looked at my phone bill, like, I mean, we probably talked 10 hours in the past 3 months. And obviously, oh God, I don't know. I'm going to miss him. I don't know when he came into your life, but you were lucky to have him.
Hi, bear with me. I'm now Uncle James, but Michael is my oldest friend on the planet. I could already hear him, correcting somebody in the room right now, letting them know that they think they've known him a long time, but it's still not as long as we've been friends. He wore that like a badge of honor, and honestly, so did I. Right from preschool to today. We've been through so many different chapters, and we used to say it was since preschool, but now it's just easier to say since we were Wyatt's age. And I have to be honest with everyone, I didn't anticipate standing in front of everybody talking, and I honestly thought the first time I'd be standing in front of you all would be, standing in front with Michael and Mimi, getting to finally marry them. As soon as Michael and Mimi asked me to marry them, I became ordained literally in that moment. We were trying to enjoy dinner, and they were like, "Stop, don't worry about it." And within 3 clicks, I was ready to marry them. And I was so looking forward to that moment. I didn't expect this to be the way to have to honor your love, but I'm going to do my best. I was so blessed by his loyalty. He was always one to show up. Outspoken, fiery, sarcastic, and had an uncanny superpower that could make any situation that would feel kind of sketchy be completely safe. And man, could he lay on the guilt. If I hadn't called in a while or heard, I'd hear about it. But I always knew it was from that massive heart of his. I've been thinking a lot about like those legendary 40-minute voicemails that he'd leave. He'd share stories of how much he loved and missed me and look for the next connection. And like the last month, I've been kind of like reflecting that I think subconsciously I might have missed some of those calls just so I could hear the voicemail playback. We used to host lots of different like holiday events and birthdays and stuff at the house. And some of my favorites were always like late in the evening when everybody would go. It was just me and Michael sitting on a couch, sipping whiskey, thinking back to when we were kids and enjoying those moments. He always made sure to be the last one to leave just so we could have those extra minutes. There's days lately when I really miss him and I find myself taking the long way home. I take a quick drive up and down Loins just to hit that bumpy road, and I could kind of hear him and Wyatt laughing as they race down the street, and it instantly brings a smile. Watching you become a father was the greatest chapter of all. Wyatt asked me while we were at the hospital, "Uncle James, did Daddy cuddle you when you were little?" And I told him, "Yes. Let's show the photos." And there's a ton of different versions. My mother has photos of us the first time that Michael, Mimi, and I went on a road trip. Mimi was getting ready and came out to find the two of us passed out on the couch. He was an incredible father, and he lived with so much heart. I could see so much of Michael through Wyatt and how he plays, how he loves, and how fiery he could be. I still think about a random call I received from Michael and Mimi when they're in Italy. I was in the middle of a kitchen working, and they called and told me to drop everything to fly to Florence. They were having steak the next night. I looked immediately for flights and couldn't make it work. But looking back, I wish I could have taken that 32-hour trip just to have one dinner with them. He was always inviting and wanted to share the best parts of life with us. We ate our way through friendship, from Dino Nuggets at Sizzler to Michelin star restaurants, where we overate bread and talked about service. I always look forward to our next breakfast. For those of you who don't know, I work at Disney, and Michael never wanted to bug me and come into the park. But Wyatt and Mimi often would play, and we set up something a few months back where Wyatt got to bring Michael to see one of the parades. And that day was truly meant to be like core memories from Wyatt, but I think we all took those core memories with us, and it was extremely special. I miss him daily. I miss the calls, the guilt, and the sarcasm and the whiskey. But rest in peace, Michael. See you at the next breakfast.
Hi, everybody. My name is Kenya. I'm gonna try to get through this and not look at anybody. Um, in honor of Mike, I'd like to start with a hallelujah and a praise Jesus. Thanks for laughing. um, Michael came into my life when we were both grown. We worked at a bar, and we just latched onto each other immediately. Um, we have a lot of overlapping interests, but I think above all, Michael had the special gift to be an asshole to certain people. He didn't like incompetence too much. Um, and in a restaurant, there can be a lot of mistakes. And for whatever reason, I was able to be his zen in moments and give him peace when he would rage, similar to a cigarette. Um, a lot of people misunderstood him because they could see his rage. But he also had that smile. He was really both sides. Um, the type of guy Michael was, when I got my spinal cord injury, similar to Corey, he was the first person to show up. And that's the exact person he is. Like any chance he had to be there for you, he would be there for you. Um, hallelujah. The so I got hurt, and then my mom passed, and I kind of just faded away from everybody. I just felt like more like a burden, um, which he hated, but he gave me my space. So we hadn't actually talked for a while. Um, and then 2 days before he passed, he gave me a call and tried to come by and see me. I missed the call. Um, he left a message, and the message, amongst other things, he said he passed a sign that said, Jesus loves you. And he's like, and I love Kenya, so I want to see you. Um, and I gave him a call the next day, and we were able to tell each other that we loved each other, and then we missed each other, and just sort of catch up. And I was like, well, how's Corey? And he told me how much he loves him and respects him, and just how he looks up to Corey. And he told me about Mimi, how much he loves her, something about her Vietnamese fire and his fire, how they pair perfectly together. And my main reason for wanting to speak right now was sort of thank everybody that's been in his life. I would say, a lot of the time that I knew him, he was in his lovesick phase. But then talking to him, he was truly the happiest that he's been in his life. And I'm just so grateful that everyone that has managed to be there for him and be that to him in these moments. So grateful for Wyatt. He loves Wyatt so much. It's the way he expressed it is he's been waiting for this moment his whole life. And I'm just so grateful. And other things is, since his passing, I mean, just really all the time. And if you have a playlist, eventually Michael's going to come into it, and he will haunt us forever, as by, I'm sure, his design. Um, so I just wanted to say thank you to everybody here for, helping contribute to him. And that he was just so, truly happy and in love with everybody. I mean, I would say like if you were in his life, he was pretty much in love with you, as is the pictures tell. And I'll leave it at that. And thank you, everybody.
Oh, fuck yeah. Oh, you had something.
I was guilt tripped and divided.
Oh, good.
I don't know all day. So my friendship with Michael went back to our teenage years. Many have heard all the stories. A lot of people in this room have lived through those stories, and just so many more with them. Our friendship over the last 30 years grew into so much more than anyone expected. And we were brothers. When I was looking through pictures of slides in my computer, I realized that Michael was a part of just everything in my life that was special. From my kids being born to adoption day to just everything. And it's hard to think about how many more memories we were supposed to have with our families, with our boys, supposed to go camping together. He's the only uncle that my kids have ever known. He was even their emergency contact for their schools because he knew he was such a fierce protector. His personality was larger than life. His generosity was unmatched. And he was the most courageous person I've ever known. In many ways, I looked up to him, to his courage, to his bravery, his obnoxiousness, and his fearlessness. For some people, he was a lot to handle, but we connected on so many levels, and I accepted him unconditionally. I can relate to his scars, to his upbringing, his self-destruction, his doubling down as a way to burn it all down. And success for us comes with this price tag of feeling unworthy of the things that we've earned. And I understand that better than anyone. We worked together for years. And he once told me that because of me, he didn't believe in karma anymore. Because I was experiencing some success at the time, but he was with me during all this stupid shit we've done in the past. And he would tell me that all the time. I could tell a million funny stories, fight stories, coffee shop stories. But for his son Wyatt, I will remember your dad as someone I looked up to, as a hero, a champion who lived without fear, and the most authentic person I will ever know. I'm a better person for knowing him and his beautiful family that is with us today. I love you, Michael, and I miss you.
I think it's your turn, Bob. I think you should go. You're ready. No pressure. Come on, Bob. You got this. You can do it. You should go off the dome. I don't have anything written down.
Hi. Hopefully all of you know me. Somebody asked me when I was at the hospital why I called Michael Hambones. And I said, because when he was younger, he had these thighs. And they were so meaty that I used to pick up his leg and go, barbecue sauce. And then I go, just pretend like I bit him. And he'd just laugh. And he loved it. So I kept doing it. Maybe one. But then I thought it was so cute that he put it in his email. It was hambones.sullivan. So I thought that was really, really special that he kept that nickname. When he was born, I wanted a dark-eyed, dark-haired baby. And that's what I got. Liar, is that what you said? Well, Corey asked me, Mom, when I was born, what did you want? And I said, a girl. But God knew better. He knew I couldn't handle girls. Ask any of my nieces. They called me up saying, Auntie Cindy, can I talk to you? I'm sitting there going, no, no, please, no, no. And then I turn around and go, yes, sweetheart. What do you need? But Michael, like I told everybody, or I wrote in my email or in my Facebook, he was unapologetic. Yes, sweetheart? I know. I'm good. I'm good. It's okay. Is that this? Is it unapologetically outspoken? He was fierce, loyal, and would do anything for anybody. And he loved for life. One time, Uncle Scott and I, we both had Mimi and Gina, and we told both the boys, we love them. Don't you screw this up for us. But Michael did. He and Mimi broke up for a little bit. And he goes, Mom, I love her, but I'm not sure. And I went, you're a liar. I said, look at me. I said, you're lying to me because you told me I love her and she's the person I want to be with for life. So I told him, I said, you screwed up big time. So I said, now you're going to have to earn her respect and her love if she's ever going to come back to you. So I was grateful one time I got a FaceTime call from him. And I knew that they started to see each other. And he goes, Mom, Mimi's being mean to me. And he takes the FaceTime and puts it over to her face. And my question was, what did you do, Michael? And he goes, Mom, you're not supposed to take her side. I said, I'll always take her side. So what did you do? I don't want to talk to you anymore, Mom. I said, I love you. And then he hung up on me. But the one thing I told my boys, whatever you do, always tell that special person in your life that you love them daily. I said, because you never know. I said, I don't care if you're angry, always say you love them. So that's one thing I'm glad they do. Yeah. So I just wanted to let you all know that I'm really glad you all came out for him and for Mimi and Wyatt, Corey, Gina, Jim. It's really special to see everybody here. And I just want to say thank you. Okay? Say hi.
Hi.
Say hi.
Hi.
Okay, there you go. Wait.
Hello, I'm Mimi's friend, and I feel obligated to represent the Asian side. Yes, I'm Asian. I am sure Mike is in a better place right now. He's at peace. It's for Mimi, Wyatt, and his family that we we should give support and love to because they are the one who have to carry on until they meet again. So this is spontaneous. I don't write anything down. It's just a spurt of the moment. Um, I I you know to I love music. I express my feeling through music. So I'm gonna sing this song for Mimi and everybody here. I hope you guys will join me, and I hope Michael doesn't think it's because the way he Corey described him about his choice of music. I hope he doesn't think this sucks. So I hope whoever knows this the words will sing along with me and give each other a hug, okay? Thinking about those younger years, it was only you and me. We were young and wild and free. Now nothing can take you away from me. Come on, y'all. We've been down that road before. That's over now. Keep on coming back for more. Baby, you're all I want. When you're lying here in my arms, I find it hard to believe we're in heaven. I guess I picked the wrong artist. I thought everybody loved Brian Adams, but I'm wrong. Well, thank you very much to allow me to share it with you.
Since we had the Asian representative, I'm going to be the cousin representative. Yes. Um, Michael and Corey, growing up with them my whole entire life. They're like older brothers to me. Can't even stare at Corey. But the one of the latest or one of the biggest memories that I have of Michael is at my sister's wedding. That was fun times, and I was looking to get into some shit, right? And no, we're not telling the whole story. It's just there was at a certain moment I needed to go rile some people up, and I thought Michael, as an older brother and a bigger cousin, would be like, yeah, fuck yeah, let's go. But had that older brother mentality and was like, no, you don't want to ruin your sister's wedding and fight a bunch of people. So I got sat down, and Michael went to go take care of the other side of the family, who I was about to fight, for fun. And but yeah, in that moment, I was like, damn, bro, I thought you had me. You know, all these stories I hear about you growing up, with all his friends and stuff. But I did appreciate it later on in life because that's something that my sister holds over my head to this day. Um, but yeah, I just wanted to express my love to Mimi and Wyatt, and talk a little bit about my upbringing with Michael and who he was to me as an older brother and a cousin. So, thank you guys.
Hello. Most people here don't know me, but Mimi and Wyatt do. I'm going to represent the neighborhood or the whites. Mike will appreciate that. So I'm Mike's neighbor, literally right next door. We're gonna go back to the year that most of us probably want to forget, 2020. That's when Mike moved in, and you want to talk about the connection that Mike and the impact that Mike's able to make instantaneously. When Mike moved in 2020, it was almost immediately that we hit it off. I'm a big gun guy. Mike happens to be a big gun guy. So I'm a big whiskey guy. Mike happens to be a big whiskey guy. We bonded over guns and whiskey to start with. At that time in 2020, this little dude was just a brand new baby. Mike seeing him, I also have a beautiful daughter, and she was 3 at the time, and Mike naturally gravitated to her as the protector that he is. That was one thing that always made me feel very comfortable, was having Mike as the neighbor, is that I always knew that I worked in retail at the time. I was not home most nights. I always felt that my family was safe because Mike was next door. Mike and I oftentimes would sit outside on our stairs, have some whiskey, and just talk about life. Mike talked about children a lot. He talked about how he wanted kids. Hold on one second, buddy. And he would always ask me, one day I want kids, all that. And I would tell him, oh, it's great. It's love. It's amazing. And then he had a kid. And so kids are a lot. And I lied to him. And he never let me forget that. So every day he would walk out of his house, and when he would see me, you motherfucker, you lied to me. But Mimi, that man loved you and Wyatt more than anything in this world. Don't you forget that, Wyatt, wherever you are. Sonic, continue being fast. You're, one thing that my daughter will never forget about Mike is she would always be outside just running back and forth, and Mike would come out and he would just be like, Jesus, you are the slowest kid I've ever seen. She'd be like, oh yeah, watch this. That was slower than the last one. And it was just, as big and ferocious as Mike wanted to think he was, he was a big softie. He was a big teddy bear, and, everything you said about him, Corey, was so true. And, it's great to hear all the great things that everybody said about Mike, because it is true. One of the biggest things I'm going to miss is those conversations with Mike, sitting on the porch and those real talks, the deep conversations, the side of Mike that most people don't get to see. Hold on one second. And, there's a lot of people in here that I actually know a lot about, that, and you guys probably don't know anything about me. Corey, for example, I know a lot about you, and you probably have no idea who I am. And it just so happens that we have the same name, and so, no, Mike was a great dude, and I'm very lucky that I got to be a part of his life. He was a prankster too, and he always left little clues around that Mike was around. There's some pictures that popped up on here. There was an event that something with Mike where he had these big photos of Mike's head. Surprise birthday for Mike. And I came home from somewhere that day, and on my patio, there's a big Mike head. I get up the next day to go to work. On my truck, there's a big Mike head. So for like a week, I could not get away from big Mike heads. So that was pretty fun. But yeah, Mike's definitely going to be missed in our neighborhood. You know, we all miss him. We loved him. We love Mimi. We love Wyatt. And you guys, you know, we're here for you guys. We love you guys, and you know, we love you, Mike, and we miss you, man. So, what'd you want to say? Nothing. All right.
Dude, you look like you want to talk. You can share your book story. Part of the reason why I put that in my speech. Hi, my name's Duke. Thanks, Corey. I have a lot of fond memories of Mike. Something I appreciate about him was his honesty, his opinion. Even though like sometimes no one asked for it, he would bring it up. Uh, he would lecture me about the Vietnam War. I'm Vietnamese, by the way. Yeah. And then he was he's very passionate and competitive about things. Some of the things I didn't know you could be competitive about. He would tell me that he could outread anyone. I was like, all right, I'll take your word for it. I didn't know that's the thing. And earlier, sorry, I was standing back there, so I couldn't see who was talking. They were talking about a poet that he was into, Bardigan or something like that. And I didn't know that he was that deeply passionate about it. And then once I did get into reading, it was just some random book. Not random, but it was Hunger Games. And I was like, oh, this is pretty interesting. I think I'll recommend it to Mike. And then like from the day I recommended it to the end of the day, he read it. And he texted me, he was like, what the hell was this shit? He's like, this is the dumbest, this is before they had the movie. He's like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever read. And I was like, I'm sorry. I was like, I just wanted to share something. I don't know what else to say. And then I thought that was the end of that. And then a few weeks later, he's like, that book was so dumb. I read the rest of the trilogy just to confirm that it was the dumbest thing I ever read. And I was like, dude, I'm still working on the first book. Like, I don't know what to say. Like, I apologize. But the thing about his opinion was that it was very genuine. That thing where people have where they rehearse something in their head before they say it. I don't think he had that. It just came straight out. And the thing that sucks about it was he was very articulate about it. Like he would say it and it might bother you. And then you're like, you know what? He's kind of fucking right. It's like, oh, sorry for my language. But yeah, he was deeply passionate. He was super cool. I remember one year we hung out for his birthday. And then we were bar hopping. And some random guy hit on my girlfriend. And before I could do anything, Mike and his friends were in his face. And they were so intimidating. I was worried for the other guy. Like I jumped in. I was like, hey, he didn't know any better, dude. Let's keep it cool. Yeah. Like good dudes. Like the previous person that spoke, I feel like I know things about his friends that probably don't even know who I am. He always spoke highly of them. He was always looking for the best in people and appreciating the moment. Like that one time we hung out for his birthday, and near the end of the night, he just told me, he's like, hey man, thanks for coming out. And that was something that I never expected from Mike, because you know he's usually like tough guy. Like the other person said, he's soft inside, but I feel like we tend to take presents for granted, and that wasn't a problem that Mike had. And I appreciate that from him. And I feel like I'm a better person for knowing him. So thanks.
I'm Kevin. I probably knew Michael probably the least out of everybody here. I met him through Mimi, and we connected pretty quickly because we had similar interests. He's a big gun guy, big, punk, doom metal, death metal, watches. I remember one time we were at a wedding, and we weren't even paying attention to the wedding. We were just talking, like naming bands to each other, like, "Oh yeah, have you listened to them yet?" No, yeah. Let me look at this up. And then I'm like, "Oh, have you heard listened to this band?" And we would just talk the whole time, not even pay attention to the actual wedding that's happening. We were there, and then eventually, my wife and I we moved to Northern California. But the thing is that it's not like we didn't stay in touch. He would reach out. He'd be like, "Hey, dude, what's up? I was just thinking about you. Just hoping you guys doing good. And it pains me that one time he said to me like, "Oh, I feel like such a bad friend. I haven't reached out to you," and I felt like I was the bad friend for not reaching out to him, and I took that for granted. And so it's just like when you meet him for the first time, he seems intimidating, but when you get to know him, he's such a kind person. And I remember he and I would talk, and you know what? When this is when Wyatt was born already, and he would just talk about Wyatt like he was the proudest father. And the thing is, I ate it up because I was like loving it. I loved how proud he was. When he talks about Mimi, when he talks about Wyatt, it was nothing but positives. Just so excited, and then just talks about just what he wants to do for Wyatt in the future. And I look back at some of our old DMs, and it's just, us just sending watch stuff. Or when he was so excited, he got his custom watch done by his watchmaker. And he sent me photos right away. He's like, "Dude, check this thing out." I was like, "This is what I want to do next time to it." Just the passion he had, every type of hobby that he did really showed. And this is I'm just rambling off the top of my head right now because I just miss him. Thank you.
Wow, there's a lot of people. Um, I've known Mike for a very short amount of time, and within that short amount of time, he's told me to fuck off about a million times. It's a little crazy to see that it doesn't matter if you've known him for 40 years or 3. We all got the same Mike. And he was this angry, unapologetic, for a back of a better term, an asshole. And him and I would yell at each other almost every day for the next 2 years at Rifle Supply. And I sat right next to him, so it was constant. But within all the arguments and all the screaming and all the fuck yous, there was a time he was calm. And it was when he talked about Corey, Cindy Sullivan, the Saint, Mimi, and his boy Wyatt. I would love to hear him say fuck off one more time to me. Thank you.
Hey, everybody. I don't recognize most of you, but it just shows how prolific, Mike was as a friend, that he knew all these people. And also knowing Mike, he had a big heart and he had a lot of capacity. I mean, I'm sure he genuinely loved a lot of people in this room. And he was kind of a big brother character, even though he was younger than me. It always felt like he was kind of like checking in on me, hey, how you doing, buddy? You keeping it together? And there really was never talk any talk about like, his problems. We all know life's not easy for him, but he had a way of just, always worrying about other people, always concerned, and he was always gathering information, you know what I mean? The last time I talked to him, he called me and he was asking me about Wyatt learning to code. And I was like, can you read? I mean, he's like, yeah, man, I'm going to get to that. But, like, I got to get his typing skills up. And I'm like, I was like, that's wild, man. He's always gathering information, And I was like, what's he going to do with it? But I think the answer is that he was just thinking of other people. And he was just trying to think, if he knew somebody or knew something, he could tell his friends about it. Anyway, I didn't think I was going to start choking up. I apologize for that. But yeah, I'll miss him.
Hello, I'm Carly, and I guess I will be representing the girl cousins in our family. And I have a story that I'm sure most of us girls probably have a very similar experience of. Um, when I was either a freshman or a sophomore in high school, and I started dating my first boyfriend, and I was very excited. I The school day was over, and I was heading to volleyball practice, and I'm going down the stairs to the gym with my boyfriend, and I look out to the parking lot and I see Michael and Corey in the parking lot leaning up against the car with their arms crossed, just staring my boyfriend down. And he's like, "Do you know those guys?" And I was like, "Yep, you're about to meet my family. Those are my cousins." And this poor, sweet Southern guy, just deer in headlights, looking at these two big, tatted up cousins of mine. And we're walking over to the gym, and they're like, "Hey, I just want to talk to you real quick." And he's like, "Should I be worried?" I'm like, "Well, as long as you just be nice to them, you should be fine." And they didn't want me to be over there, so I was just standing off watching them talk to him, and he's like standing there, like standing rigid and just nodding his head, just trying to be on their nice side. And I was like, "Hey, is everything okay?" When he comes back over, and he's like, "Yeah, everything's fine. Everything's fine." I was like, "Okay, great. Thank you so much, guys. My first boyfriend." And you just put the fear of God into him. And even as recent as I was 36 weeks pregnant about 5 months ago, and my husband and I had a mild car accident, and I was talking to my dad about it after the fact, and I was telling him the guy that hit us was just an absolute asshole, just trying to start a fight with my husband and everything. And he was like, "Well, did you call the police?" And I said, "No." And he's like, "Well, why didn't you call any of your cousins? Michael would have taken care of that." And I'm like, "That is exactly why I didn't call Michael, because I know he would have taken care of that in his own way." And I think I wish I would have spent more time with him, and the time that I did spend with him. And I think acquired taste, and how Corey described it, lovingly so, and is probably correct, because he was so fiercely loyal, protective, and loving of his family. And you just know that no matter what, you always had someone looking out for you. And I knew that if I ever really did need him for something that needed to be taken care of in the true Michael fashion, then I could rely on him. But I am just so thankful for the years that he did look out for me and my family. That's all. I love you, Michael.
Katie's turn. You gotta back up your twin sister. It has to be done. It has to be done. It has to be done. No one else is gonna speak until you speak, Katie. Sorry, I'm putting a pause on it. Won't look at you. No one's gonna look at you. Oh shit. You can do the gym. Do the gym Morris and look at the stage.
Hey everyone, I'm Carly's twin sister. I'm admittedly the more emotional one, so Cancer Moon. Same deal as Carly, you know, it was always like this situation where he was so overprotective, so overbearing, so opinionated, so passionate, like, fuck. I mean, sorry, no cursing. That I would have conversations with him and I'm like, God, do I like hate him or do I love him? Like, he just puts you in your place for the better. And I need to spit my gum out. So almost a year ago, my house burned down in the LA fires, and everyone I would talk to about it was just like, man, like, I don't know what to say. Like, I'm sorry, that sucks. Like, it's tough. You know, you have your people and it's all good. And, you know, trying to fluff it up, trying to make me feel better. And I had a conversation with Michael and he was just like, kind of like, you got to like buck up. Like, it's all good. Like, you have Jeremy, you have your support system, you have all of this support around you. And this is not going to be the first tragedy you go through. Like, that was the first time somebody said something like that. Like, this is the first big thing that's happened to you, and it won't be the last. And you're going to have to learn how to deal with that and how to have a positive mental attitude and how to look at a situation and just think, I have the people that love me and that can protect me and that are there for me. And I just remember feeling like, damn, that sucks that that's true. Like, I can't even believe that is so true. Like, so many tragedies you'll experience in your life. And sure enough, like a month after that, like, we lose Michael. And I just like, I couldn't believe that I had had that conversation with him and that I was like reliving that just grief again. And it's true, you know. Life is short. Like, what else can I even say about that? But he was just so real all the time, like so real. And I love and appreciate him for that. So.
Just don't make me the closer, okay? That's what I'm asking. That's all I'm asking. Hi, you guys. My name's Patty. I'm down from Sacramento, and I'm probably best known as Michael's godmother. Unfortunately, I lived out of state most of his growing up, but I knew Corey and Michael, and we all stayed in touch over the years, especially when they were young ones. I had the joy of being in Cindy and Jim's wedding, and we all remember that. I got to be in the phone booth with them when they called Cindy's parents, your grandparents. So that was quite a memorable moment. But what an incredible family, and what an incredible set of stories we've heard from everyone that's spoken today, whether it be by a microphone or one-on-one, about the impact Michael made to your lives and your families. And for that, I am forever grateful. I know the Stevenson Sullivan family is forever grateful. And we just send our love to everyone, and we will be there for everyone. Thanks so much.
Hi, I'm Doang. I'm Mimi's first cousin. And I just wanted to remember back to a decade, maybe a little bit more, when Mimi was dating someone new. And she just said, there's something really special about this one. And she just knew. And that was the same time I was falling in love with my own husband. So I remember just being in this state of being really excited for Mimi. And um, I saw how in love Mimi was, and then with Michael, they both fell in love with their beautiful son. Hey, give me 5. And Wyatt is so awesome. If you guys can just think, Mimi's my little cousin, so Wyatt's a dead ringer for her. So if you can just imagine how adorable Mimi was when she was little, and to Michael, just he was an intense guy, but he loved like without abandon. I just loved um, how intensely he cared for his son and his family. And I love the videos that Mimi would send of him sticking his face into Wyatt's feet secretly on the little baby cam. And last year at Wyatt's birthday, we were outside chatting, and there was like a kids performer, and Michael was like, "Guys, you got to go in because it's gonna be awesome." And I was just like, "It's a kids performer," and he's like, "You gotta go," and he like came out 5 times to make us watch this kids performer just because Wyatt was so into it. And I just think that of Michael being the sort of person where it's like the rallying, the love, and that love is just something that doesn't die. It stays forever. And I'm glad that that Wyatt has gotten to be raised in that sunlight of his dad's love. And I detect things. I could be delusional, but I feel like I have some sort of psychic powers, some sentience. And when we visited Michael in the hospital after he had passed, I remember just holding his hand and talking to him. And I saw him walking down a hallway, and it was dark in the hallway, but there was light coming at the other end. And I just said, "Are you coming back?" And he said, "Oh yeah, I'm coming back." And I was like, "Really? You're going to come back?" And he said, "Well, not in this body, but I'm coming back. You guys will see me again." And I just wanted to share that because I don't know what he meant by that, but maybe we'll all see him again. And whether we see him in our dreams or in our hearts or in Wyatt, who's starting to look more and more like Michael as he's getting older, may the love that you felt and that intense care that Michael had stay with you. Thanks.
First of all, I was the sister with the brother who got in a fight at the wedding. No big deal. It was West Side Story, okay? It was a mess. I'm not gonna divulge.
I didn't have anything prepared.
I don't. Okay. Shoot. Turn around. Turn around, Corey. Okay. So, can't even talk. So, my mom is Auntie Bonnie, who is the sister of Auntie Cindy. And Corey and I are cousin twins. If you don't know that term, we're like 2 months apart. And unfortunately, we were inseparable pre my brothers that showed up. Um, we were raised by my grandma, my Lola, in Westminster. And that house was epic. Um, uh, we had what? You have 8 brothers and sisters? 8 total. How many cousins? Let's say at least 75. It felt like it. Now we all have kids. So there's at least 15 of us. So let me just say we love hard. We hate hard. We are constantly in each other's faces. We won't walk out of the room without telling each other how we feel. And if Matthew were here, he'd have a hilarious story to back that up with, but he's not because he's trying to become a pilot or something. But I'm going to bring it way back. So it was Michael, Corey, me, Sean, and Matthew every single day until I was in 4th grade. I even went to school in Westminster and I live in Long Beach. Dad, I don't understand that. They would make the drive every single day and drop us off, and I was stuck with Corey all day long. Our grandma had a pool, and all the boy cousins would get together, all the family get together, and what did they love to do? They loved to play water polo. So you had to know how to swim, or Michael or Corey would try to drown you. I'm not even joking. So it was hardcore from the get-go, from like literally when we were born. We would play video games at Michael and Corey's house. And I sweat, okay? I can't help it. I don't know why. But the second I let go of that controller, it was drenched. And they would make fun of me until I cried, like literally in tears. It still haunts me. I'm just letting you know. I'm sweating right now, okay? Corey's talking about it. If we were ever allowed to go out with Corey or Michael, Michael would never, ever, ever let anyone talk to us. It was really annoying, but probably for the better. And little fun fact, Michael got me a job at the attic. Totally had that memory because of you guys in the back. And he would never let me forget about it. And he would just tell me how amazing he was because he got me a job. And I was like, dude, I have 4 jobs right now. I'm so stressed out. And it was so much fun. And at the time, it was really fun working with Michael. And really great food, by the way. We argued all the time. The second any of us got in the room, it was guaranteed. It's always high, strong energy. And that's just who our family is. And it's a lot of fun, but, you know, don't get in the way. There was one time recently, Michael and I argued over whose birth story was more intense, me or Mimi's. And we were like yelling at each other. And I was like, Michael, why am I even talking to you about this? You didn't have the child. And I like walked away. I literally said that. And Thanksgiving is our last memory. It was one of the first times I host Thanksgiving the day after because I want to see my family and I want everyone to be together because I hate that we all have to like fight to see each other all the time. And I've hosted it like that. I don't even know the last 5 years. And this time, like we all got to really be together, and it was the first time in a while that I just saw so many faces that I love, and I always extend it to anyone and everyone who's willing to come. And I was really grateful that I got to just say that I'm so thankful we're all here together because I obviously didn't know that that'd be the last time I saw him. But Mimi, just want you to know that Michael always, and probably rubbed it in my face, told me how amazing you and Wyatt are, and he loved to say it and say it at the top of his lungs on how grateful he is for you guys. And I really want to make that promise to make sure every time I see you, I want you to know how amazing you and Wyatt are. And our family is fierce, and we're gonna make sure Wyatt like knows how crazy and fun and loving like forever. So to Michael.
It's just gonna get wet again. Hi, I'm Mimi's brother-in-law, and sorry I hate public speaking. I'm nervous as hell. I met Michael probably about more than a decade ago. Sorry, and it was at Mimi's birthday. It was at some rock climbing place, and he shows up, and apologize for my language already. Okay, I was like, who the fuck is this jackass? You know. And my boys at that time, I have twins. I think they're maybe about 2 years old at the time. They took to Michael that day, they loved him right away. He was like the biggest jungle gym for them, you know. And I realized, just kids love Michael, everywhere. I'm like, everywhere he went, every party that I went to that he was there, all the kids just gathered around Michael, and he was just great with kids, and he always said like, oh, you're like my big brother, and how come you don't say I love you? And I'm like, Michael, I just don't show my emotions very well, man. You know how I feel, and I regret not saying it enough to him, and going to, people say that he's always there for you. I got sick of some years back, and had an emergency, and he was there at the hospital for me. Had some treatments after that, and he was like, just come to the shop, when you feel okay, just come to the shop, take your mind off things, and even if you don't do anything, just sit there, just you're not just at home by yourself, just moping around. And he was just a great person, and I miss him, and I just can't believe he's not here anymore. Every Christmas we used to do this thing where we have this elf outfit, and we'd always try to see who we could just throw it into one of their gifts, and they just take it home and say, oh, that motherfucking hat is in my bag. He won eventually and is still at my house. And I'm like, what the hell am I going to put this now? But I miss him, and I was very nervous coming up here, but I felt, he deserved me just kind of speaking about him because I love him, and I miss him every day. But
Thanks.
Take the wheel. Hi, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Uncle Scott. First off, the hair thing. Okay, let me just get that out of the way. Michael hated it, and I love the fact that he hated it. And he would tell me every time he saw me, "When you gonna cut that hair?" And I was like, "Well, when I feel like it." Because initially I had a surgery that went okay, but then I had a heart issue, and I said, "Well, I'm gonna cut that hair when I go back to work," and then that never happened because I retired. So the last time I saw him, he had just gotten his haircut. He said, "Seriously, Uncle Scott, when you gonna cut that hair?" And I was like, "Oh, for crying out loud!" But now, I don't know if I'm ever gonna cut it, or maybe I will cut it. I haven't figured that out yet. It's funny because as an uncle, when you see your brothers and sisters having kids and just who they've become, and you're so proud. Michael was a crazy kid. I loved him, because he could always make me laugh. And one example is, so my Filipinos in the crowd, are you here? Let me hear you. So and those of you who aren't Filipino, do you know what lumpia is? So we used to have this little tradition of if you wanted to eat lumpia, you had to roll your own. So everybody in the family learned how to roll lumpia. Well, here I am. I'm eating my lumpia after a hard day's work, rolling. And then little 5-year-old Michael comes by and he gets this little grin on his face. I'm like, uh-oh, this kid, I know him, right? And I said, "Hey, Michael, what are you doing?" He's just smiling. And with my lumpia, I like to have hot soy sauce and just regular, And he was starting to do this. I said, "Michael, don't do that. Don't put your finger in there because it's like full of pepper." Get that grin, and he started doing that. And I'm like, what did I just say? "Michael, don't do that. It's hot. You're going to burn your mouth." And then as I start to turn my head, he shoots his finger in there and he sticks it in his mouth. He's like this. I said, "Michael, what did I say?" That's pretty much the relationship we had all the way throughout his whole life, with doing something, saying something. And it was always, later, it was always about competing for laughs with each other. I mean, Corey, remember when I taught him? I don't know if I taught you at the same time, but a friend of mine used to make this ape face, and it went a little something like this. So I had one hand here, and I'd pull on the ear here, but then I made this. That face. So with that face, we'd always make that face at each other when we were just trying to make each other laugh. But as time went on, Cindy got involved. And that thing that kids do where they put your arm in somebody's arm and then you hit it, just to jab the person. So it was between Corey, Michael, and I that it became this thing of hitting it and jabbing the person's arm. But Cindy was trying to learn, and she didn't fully get it. It was timing, right? So it went a little something like this. And the person didn't feel it, because the point was to hit it and smack the person. But, so we, of course, thought it was the most hilarious thing. But as time went on, all I had to do, if something was going really south, is look at him and he'd do this. or we would look at each other and it became just this little, or so one of my favorite memories with Michael and Corey is when Cindy would be yelling at him. I told you, man, man, man. And of course, being the great uncle I was always behind her going, doing all these faces, and they start to crack up. And Cindy turned around and said, yeah, listen to your mother. But, Cindy would always never catch me until I fully admitted it. Then there was times, grandma, grandpa, he loved my parents so much, and he was, at a little age, you could see how he'd start becoming this big protector and want to take care of my parents. So knowing the relationship he had with them, and I had moved to Florida at this point and was coming back, I thought, okay, let me help Dad with trimming some trees. And we had the banana trees in the backyard, and we're cutting them down. And Michael was back there with Dad, and I was throwing these big chunks of banana trunk over the fence, and Dad was picking them up, or Michael was doing something. Well, I threw one, I heard a thud. And then I heard Michael go, Uncle Scott, you hit Grandpa. I pulled my head over the fence and I look and I see all these wet rings around his chest. And just then my mother turned the corner and she goes, what happened? Well, me in a panic. It was Michael. Michael did it, Mom. And Michael never let me forget it because it was just one of those things. We'd start laughing, She's like, I said, no, I did it. Of course, I'm sorry, but poor Daddy had a pacemaker. And so it was a little bit of a problem. But, as, Cindy relating the story about the boys meeting the girls, Michael with Mimi, Gina with Corey, and one day I said, Cindy, come in here, sit down, and I'm looking at the guy and said, listen, we love your girlfriends. We love them all. We love them. I said, so if you screw this up for us, we're really going to be pissed, and it was just kind of funny always going back to that, and saying we screwed it, like I have any, I'm just the uncle, so kind of going back and forth and then hearing things of protection. You want to protect everybody, at the bars, Andra, at the bars when you were out with the other cousins and Michael just happened to show up. I said, so the girls told me that you went out and, oh yeah, I saw him. Said, so what does that mean? He goes, Uncle Scott, have you seen them? I said, well, yeah, they're gorgeous. And he goes, exactly. That's why I've got to talk to every guy that goes up to him. I said, it sounds like you scared them all away, every one of them. And then of course, Christina had something to say. Oh my God, Uncle, Michael was there ruining everything. And then Andrea, oh my God, somebody came up to me and like, oh my God, he got right in his face. Said, if you want to walk out, keep walking. It would just crack me up because all my nieces at one point sound like, oh my God, they all sound the same. So, I kind of picked that up myself. Oh my God, shut up. But one of the last memories I have with Michael is you'll see it. There's a picture of Michael and Wyatt flying a kite in Seal Beach. And I was there that day. He had called me up about 2 weeks before he passed. And he said, hey, Uncle Scott, White and I are going to the beach to fly a kite. And I said, well, I'm in town. Let's go, So we went and it was such a great day. First off, it was a beautiful day. And then I'm hanging out with my nephew and his son. And, we had to go down the bumpy road, Loins in Long Beach. So there we were in that little 4x4 hitting every bump. And it was exciting for Wyatt. I almost threw up. I was like, oh my God, stop, please stop. And he's just taking off and hitting everything. And didn't we have you on the phone, Mimi? Were you on the phone? It was either you, was it Aunt Diane? I can't remember. It was just, we had somebody on the phone and we were bouncing. And then Wyatt again. So we hung a U-turn and we went the other way. Then we hung a U-turn again and went back on Loins. And just to see the joy in Wyatt's face and the joy in Michael's face about giving that to Wyatt was really a beautiful thing. And then we went to fly the kite. I was taking pictures and everything. I was standing back and I'm watching this beautiful window of this private moment. It was such a privilege. Telling them about how to fly the kite and how high it would soar, and just like reaching the sky, and the amazing look on Wyatt's face, and how beautiful it was. It was it was just precious. You know, oh, I hate that word, but precious. And I told Michael, we were on the beach, and I just said, with a pow 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 already. I'm in the middle of something so important. Okay, pow 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 pow. That's our thing. Okay, so and I just thought it was such a beautiful moment to see him growing up, and everything was just falling into place, and his love for Mimi, and of course his love for Wyatt. It was just 2 weeks later to miss him. I didn't realize how important that talk was. Tell him how proud I was of him, how for things falling into place, and what a great job he's done. And shoot, tonight hug your loved ones extra tight. Keep your family close. I really appreciate those times because nothing's guaranteed. Thank you. Does anybody else want to speak? Should I just popcorn names randomly? Randy Kolstad sounds good right now. Oh, he's actually coming. Yes, sir.
I wasn't going to come up here because I'm really bad at this. I don't have the gift of gab that Michael had. Michael was the first person that was ever nice to me in high school. I was very nerdy, more nerdy than what's in front of you right now. And I was, Michael and I, we had Spanish class together. And I didn't think that anybody knew my name. So one day I was walking from class to the quad to go eat my lunch by myself. And somebody says, hey, Randy. I was like, the hell, my mom's not here. Nobody knows my name. and it was Michael. And he had this, I know everybody in this room knows it, the mischievous smile that disarms you and makes you feel seen. And from that day, Michael was one of my best friends. I tried to be here today 15 minutes early in true Michael fashion, but the parking lot was full. And we had to park way the heck down there past the dispensary. There are so many people here that loved him, and for good reason, because Michael was the best friend anybody could ever have. Went to the library and I got this book from a series that he introduced me to. It's called Speaker for the Dead. And I should have read that book a little bit more. There's too many things that Michael and I have been through, and plenty of firsts that we all got to do together. And this one, it really feels like I never had a brother, but it really feels like I lost one. It more feels like I lost a litter mate, because we went through so many things together. I think that, so Michael came over and he met my son after he was born, and I got to tell him, I got to introduce him to Kate and Michael, because I never met a Mike that I didn't like, and he was the best of them. I want to say thank you to Cindy for giving us Michael. And fuck you, Corey, for making me come up here.
I also told Nate I would call upon him too. Oh, here you go. There you go.
Spent an hour trying to write something for this, and I couldn't get through 5 minutes of it, and I won't get through this. So, like, how do you equate what somebody means to you? You know, like, just an irreplaceable human being. There's one Mike Sullivan. Like, you'll never have a friend like him. You'll never know anybody like him in your whole life. He'd swing a punch over your shoulder to hit somebody who's threatening you, and he did it for me. I did it for him. If you're from the old school crew, you know what I'm talking about. Had a lot of crazy times that I won't get into, but he was my best friend, you know. And a few years back, we had a falling out, and we didn't talk for a little while, and it killed me. Like, we both puffed our chests and did our thing, and one day I'm on the Redondo Beach Pier with my kids, and I get a phone call, and there he is, you know. He didn't let it go. I didn't want to let it go, but we were just being jackasses, being tough guys, you know. And we started talking again, and we didn't get to see each other a lot over the last few years. We talked on the regular, you know, and I miss him like crazy. Like, I'll be at work I work on the docks. I'll be at work up on a ship, and I'll just start thinking about it and start crying. It's crazy. Like, I can't believe he's gone. But I don't even know. I didn't write. Like I said, I couldn't get through writing anything, so I'm just kind of winging this. But I mean, look at this room. And it was more full than this earlier. All 4 of my kids came. It was their Uncle Fats. They had to leave, unfortunately. But everybody in my life came out for this besides my parents. That's who he was, you know? That's who he was. He showed up for everybody all the time. He was at the hospital for all of my kids being born. He was there for all of their young birthdays as long as we had them, you know? And he was just the best. You know, he was the best friend I ever had in my life. Had my back more than anybody, even if it meant him pissing me off to no end. And and this one right here is no fucking better either. But you know, but it was all out of love. You know, he was just trying to get me to see it his way. And if you knew Mike, he wanted you to see it his way. There was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He would bend very, very little on his opinions. Very, very little. And he definitely sent me throwing my phone a few times. But at the end, we were always laughing afterwards, you know? But anyways, that's all I got. I miss him every day. I love him, and I'm looking forward to seeing him again.
Hello. Oh, okay. So I'm a friend of Mimi's. I met Michael through Mimi. I haven't known him too long. I don't know, like 7 years, probably. I don't know how long as you guys been dating, pretty much, and then your relationship, a decade. So, I've actually remember hanging out with him at a bar. I think it was like a circle of friends, and then he was newer, but and I tell the story because like he kind of just wanted to break the ice. He just said something like, "I don't know where I fit with this group," and then I was like, "That's a funny thing to say," but when I look back at Michael, he always had a way to bridge and connect with other people. That was like a special power of him. Because even when I would see him at parties, he would find a way to like connect with me. And I'm Filipino, so I understand where Uncle was. So this makes perfect sense now. Because he'll come to me to talk about Filipino stuff, and then they will talk about like other things about raising Wyatt, and I would have to say like Michael is very manly. Like he had like a lot of things like he enjoyed doing, like knives, guns, hunting, and then in some ways we would just talk about like just becoming better men. And I know he wanted to raise Wyatt to be the best man he could hope and want him to be almost second to none, like almost like this like Navy SEAL type, but still like a scholar and gentleman at the same time. He wanted Wyatt to be everything because I think Wyatt was everything to Michael in those ways. But going back to like connecting, so I remember during COVID, me and Michael's they called me and my wife over FaceTime, and I bring back the Filipino thing to it because he was very excited to call us, and then he just said something like, "Oh, I want to tell you something." I think Mimi was something like, "Oh, Michael wants to tell you something," and so I'm like, "Okay, what's going on?" He's like, "Oh, I don't want to ruin this joke." It was like, "Oh, what did the Filipinos say to the statue?" And then me and my wife Clarissa, we actually knew the punchline, and we're like, "Is statue?" And he got mad because we ruined the joke, but it was just like a wonderful thing because he was so full of laughs, and on top of that, I mean, I get it now, like how he was brought up outside the family with you guys. And so another fun memory was again, he makes connections. So me and my wife, like we went to Italy. Me and him were talking about this is one great vendor in Florence, Firenze, or so. So They give us a hint of where to go to. It's at the public market, and there's a stall number, but a foreign country. We're still trying to make sense out of it. So we go. So we actually find the stall like after like 15 minutes. So like we almost gave up, but we find it because it was very important. Because it made, and so we see like the stall guy, the owner, and he like say hi. He looks at us. He's like, "Okay, Americans, like whatever, dude." And so once I like talked to him, I was like, "Oh no, like hey, I know the Sullivan, like I know Mike and Mimi." They're like, "Okay." I was like, "Oh, the Sullivans." And hope I don't butcher this. He with the biggest Italian love was like, "Oh, the Sullivans," and then he gave my wife a hug and a kiss, and then we're like all taken aback because we're just like, "Oh my gosh, what's happening?" But at the same time, I'm also like absorbing it, saying, "Of course, this would happen. This is Mike." So it was just like a wonderful moment because like, he also bridged that gap. Like me being in a foreign country, like he also made that connection for us, and you could tell that this guy loved Mimi and Michael because he was just so ecstatic. Because then he went, "Oh, the Sullivans. Oh yeah, okay. I do the savory. My mama does the sweets. We gotta see mama." And then we're just on this roller coaster in this public markets place, and it was such a wonderful time. And I can never like thank the two of them so much for that because that was one of our highlights for the trip. I mean, granted, like Italy's great, Italy, but that was like my favorite moments. So, and then we're still in Florence, and I kick myself for this because I'm like, we see the statue of David, and I'm like. And I go home or to our hotel. I'm like, damn it. I missed my like a big opportunity to like take a video of the statue of David and then send it to Mike and say, "This statue." And, and I don't know. I mean, like for a month, I was just thinking about like the same old joke. Like, oh man, if I could build like if there's a memorial for Mike, I would just totally put like on the saying like, "Oh, Mike, is that you?" And just continue that joke because now I get it where that laughter comes from. So yeah, that was something very again like this whole room filled with memories, making that connection with Mike, and that's on him. Like he did that. Like he made the effort for that. He never let go. I mean, he held on to a lot of you, and I could hear in your guys' stories. So God bless Mike. Love that guy.
Anybody else would like to come up for a little bit? Or are we wrapping this portion of the event up? Looks a lot different when you're looking up versus up down. Jeremy.
How's it going, everyone? I'm the husband of one of the emotional twins. I met Mike close to 10 years ago, and probably for most of that, I couldn't tell if he liked me. He was very stern at family functions, and a lot of that changed when he had Wyatt. Um, Mike, in my eyes, became a different person. Everything that he put his energy into was Wyatt. He boosted up his confidence. He got him into playing the guitar, and it was something I thought about quite often. How Lucky Wyatt and Mimi
are for having someone so encouraging and supportive in their life. Um, Michael, kind of after Michael had Wyatt, we started talking a little bit about music. And I got a glimpse into the type of music that he liked, and it was cool music. It makes sense. He's a big, tall, tatted guy, and he liked good music. But at one of the gatherings, he told me to listen to a song. He's like, "You got to listen to this song. Wyatt's learning how to play it like on the guitar, like he's gonna shred." And so I saved the song in my Spotify album or my like songs. And maybe an hour after leaving, I get a text like, "Did you listen to that song?" No, I haven't. And then we get a phone call like, you gotta listen to that song. So that was one instance. And maybe a few days after, I remember it was a Sunday. My wife and I we were getting dinner, and I get a random phone call or a random FaceTime. I don't have any number saved, and I just immediately decline it. And I get a text immediately, like, and it's between me, Katie, and this random phone number saying "pick up." And I look at her, and I'm like, "Who?" And she has the number saved, and she's like, "Oh, it's my cousin Michael." And we pick up the phone, and he immediately starts talking about the song. And he was like, "Why it's like he's learned the song on the guitar." And we FaceTime for about 30 minutes outside of the restaurant, and he was just filming Wyatt play like as the song was playing, and we got we just chatted afterwards, and it was something that I think about how great of a supportive father he was. We don't we don't have kids, and when I think about being a father, um, Michael's someone who routinely shows up. Um, the what he got Wyatt into, he would talk to me. He's like, "I want to get him into action sports, skateboarding, surfing, snowboarding. You got to teach him all these things." And he was so passionate about like the cool things. He was a cool guy, and that's just something it's gonna stick with me. Being a cool dad, he did these things that going to fly kites at the beach, driving down loins, simple things like that that just make a big impact on not just his son, his family, but those around him. He was a wonderful person.
Well, I guess this concludes this portion of the show. Auntie Di just parked. Does that mean she's going to talk? Okay. We will wait for Auntie Di. Unless some brave soul wants to come up while we wait for Auntie Di. Randy, I think you should come up again. That was really good. You killed it. I loved it. I guess we'll just leave the microphone up here. I don't want to start a fight. I'm just going to leave that one at that. Rich Lenky, you look like you want to talk. What the? Everyone like the food? Yeah. Drinks are great. Uh-huh. Do you guys have spinach dip? Michael loves spinach dip. You guys just gonna make me sit up here with this microphone? A story? The one story that I was laughing with Jason Woods recently was as we noted, I do laugh at my brother's rage moments. And it was when we were living off of Liberty in Huntington Beach, and we had this sliding glass door. When you open the front door, you would see right through it, and there was Michael's desk. And I was like, "Why is your desk on the ground outside?" And apparently, he got so mad at his ex-girlfriend, he jumped through his desk and then threw the desk out the window. What? From the second floor, by the way. Sorry, it was a 2-story house, and so I just thought it was hilarious that I walked into this house and saw a desk on the floor that was smashed in half. It was a thick desk too. It was like one of those 2 or 3 inches. It was not a small desk, and he's not a small person. It's small. Guess I'm bigger than you now.
This will be hit audio at the beginning, a hit cut. And then it went black, I was like, oh. That sounds, I felt like it's just, I'm working She said,
Are we looking for the restroom? It's in that other back corner. Oh, okay, perfect. The women's is there, but the men's is over there. Yeah, where the stalls are? She wanted to say bye to Mimi and then go. Okay, where's
Yeah, probably.
I hope so. I really hope so. Some boxes are going down there for everybody. Yeah. Before they go, you might want to just lock the containers straight in the corner of the arm. Yeah, we had a charge. I switched to the second battery. This thing overheated twice. Can you text me the link to the live stream in case I need it? Yes. And then I'll See, look at it. That's what happens when you record vertical. Look at all that negative space. Everything will be in wide.
I was thinking about recording vertically for this. Now there's no way.